we have Nicole Salam from Ward 7 candidate here tonight. I apologize, it's dark and I'm going blind. So, and we have Greg Lucy, who is our clerk, who is going to open our citizen engagement meeting tonight. So we'll take attendance. Yep.
Linnea, Murphy, Zika, Maria.
Yep. Okay, we also have received some written correspondence tonight, but before we have our clerk read that, I do want to make mention that this is being filmed by resident Brian DeLacy, as well as Malden Access TV, UMA, who will be taking off our Zoom and live streaming it tonight. So we're going to start by reading the letters. You want?
So we do have 4 letters that came in. This is the first one. Good evening, Citizen Engagement Committee, Malden City Council members, and Maplewood Community. I've always worked in Boston and lived on the South and North Shores, so when I was picking a place to buy a home, I considered Malden. I looked at 4 properties, one in Linden on Salem, another on the west side on Pine Street, which had a huge pine tree, and another house off Henry Street. When I had my first look at the property on Rockingham Ave in Maplewood, I knew right then and there that would be my home. The beautiful trees and rock ledges, high rock, Trafton Park, and the locale of the square, all within walking distance. This was not the city living that I knew of. Maplewood Square has a very hometown feeling, with the hometown values of being so close to Boston. And as I live here in the quaint part of the city, now for 29 years, this square has been the best square to walk to for convenience, from the dentist to an optometrist, barbers to hair salon, to laundromat, and dry cleaning. Fish market to a meat market, diverse restaurants, liquor and convenience stores, a bar, a gas station, jewelry and clothing stores, a Dunkin', donuts, even a tropical fish store. What more could you want? It has been a self-sufficient square even before Metro Station landing. For years, our dear city tried to rejuvenate Malden Square, and now it's finally coming alive again. Our Maplewood Square occasionally missed a business, but we have been very successful in sustaining businesses, and we have even a favorable bus routes to the T station. Now it will never feel like that when it is swallowed up by the Mystic Valley RCS, a very nostalgic and vibrant area that will not be the same. Taking over even part of this historic square with even another 300 students anticipated in 2023 will result in added vehicles for drop-offs and pickups, and really not add to any district use of the existing businesses in Maplewood Square. Some of you may have children in the charter school, and some of you may ask, why are you so upset? For all the reasons that I mentioned above, I ask that you please realize this is how we residents all feel about this area. And if you can help us, then please push this to the state level so the charter school cannot profit from exempt zoning laws, exempt from real estate taxes, and we should not profit from unused monies that were to be used for a child's education in order to purchase more businesses to swallow up this wonderful neighborhood without the scrutiny of local, city, or state government officials. Thank you for allowing the time to speak. Kay Allen, 26 Rockingham Ave, Malden. As a Maplewood resident, I am writing in regard to the purchase of 3 parcels in Maplewood Square by the Mystic Valley Charter School. Mystic Valley Charter School has repeatedly demonstrated that they are bad neighbors. In the fall of 2020, they attempted to shut down the Ward 6 Precinct 1 voting station with less than 2 weeks' notice and required a court order to allow voting. This school frequently makes use of Trafton Park, yet when Council Kamel and Winslow reached out to the Mystic Valley Charter School leadership to participate in the planning of Trafton, no one from Mystic Valley participated. There are about discriminatory practices. When I purchased my home in Maplewood Square 3 years ago, I purchased because of the neighborhood. I purchased because of proximity to restaurants like Serena's, Panda Castle, and Franny's. So though the current traffic on back streets on school days is an inconvenience, I cannot imagine how much worse it will be with an additional 300 students and support staff, and then become desolate on evenings and weekends with the loss of businesses. This proposal appears to be all gain for Mystic Valley, and all loss for Maplewood neighbors. Sincerely, Elizabeth Howells, Maplewood resident. My name is Karen Colin Hayes. I live at 105 Wyoming Ave, Malden. I would like to go on record with my concerns and questions regarding the recent purchase of property in Maplewood Square. I attended the Citizen Engagement Committee meeting on this matter and was able to hear the frustration of longtime small business owners and community members. They noted that this is not the first time they've been misled and left out of plans by the board of Mystic Valley Regional Charter School. To be clear, my concerns on this matter have nothing to do with school choice, with families who attend the school or their teachers. The lack of transparency from the administration and board members is what has led me to break and trust, and that will take years to rebuild. The questions residents have, as well as my own, are valid concerns. The relationship with the city of Malden and the charter school needs to be repaired, and we need to work together to be sure all the voices in Malden are heard, and we do what is right for our entire community. With that said, I hope there is a representative from the school who can address the following. What is the plan for the expansion? What will be the impact to the neighborhood and local businesses? And one of my biggest concerns is what will all the traffic management plan do? Mystic Valley brings in families for our surrounding cities, and the traffic is already a major issue. How can we be sure that the students, teachers, and local neighbors are safe during pickup and drop-off time? I realize the property has already been purchased, and there may be not have been much the city could have done, but there still is time to try and work on some compromises. Through permitting, we can do work to control the growth and land expansion. Let the use of this opportunity to try and mend some of the damages before it's too late. We need bold, forward thinking leaders to make sure Malden residents are taken care of. Thank you, Karen Collins. And the final one is, yeah, Ms. Cagno, thank you for your email invitation to tonight's meeting on behalf of the chairperson, Dee Maria, sent today, Tuesday, July 22nd, at approximately 10 o'clock a.m. Once the school develops a plan for the use of the recently acquired properties at Maplewood Square, we look forward to following all protocols to coordinate with the appropriate city permitting authorities, including but not limited to the building department and the planning board. Please understand that Mystic Valley Regional Charter School has successfully worked through this process with the city of Malden on numerous occasions in the past. I can assure you that we will adhere to legally required processes like any other school in Malden. We look forward to working with the city on this matter in the future. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you, Clerk Wilson. Also, Councilor Ward for Ryan O'Malley is in attendance. And I hope candidate Michelle Luong, Ward 7 is in attendance. Thank you. Thank you to each of you for coming tonight. So what we're going to do is we are going to toggle from anyone who would like to speak tonight to anyone on Zoom. So we're going to go back and forth to give everyone equal chance. And we're going to have Councilor Cannell run around with the microphone for the attendance here. He's in yellow, so I don't think you'll miss him. And again, this is all being recorded. I would really love for you to state your name and address when you begin to speak. I hope that we can all be respectful and not take an hour and a half of your comments so that we can reach everybody tonight. Okay, so we do have a second microphone. Yeah. And you're gonna work the Zoom, okay?
I'm getting some text from people that are participants. I know you can hear us, but you can't see us. They're wondering if the camera's facing this way. It's the only way to do it. This game, you can think of something, but it's the only way down here. So for those of people listening, hopefully the voices will be enough.
And I also see Councilor Crowe on Zoom. I'm not sure if there's any other candidate or councilor that might be on there. So I'll try to remind everybody who's participating. All right, so again, welcome. We're going to run around the microphone. So just raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Thank you. I live at 630 Salem Street.
Ambulances, fire engines, they come many, many times during the day and in the evening. Columbia Street is a narrow street. If we have school buses out there, somebody's gonna die because the ambulance will be able to get out and get down the street. There was a small car double parked out there this morning, and I was in a van from the ride, and we hung for 15 minutes until the person came out and moved the car. If a van can't get by, an ambulance can't get by, or God forbid, a fire engine.
Thank you. What was your name?
Patricia Baker.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay, is there anyone raising their hand on the Zoom? Okay, and Counselor Zika is also on the Zoom. Camera. Okay, so first on the Zoom will be resident Dee Campbell. So we want to try to make sure we can all hear what she has to say. Okay, so.
Tell her she's on mute, Debbie. She's on mute.
Dee, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, no, I'm sorry, that was a mistake. I'm not speaking. You can move to the next person. Thank you.
Oh, she's not speaking. Okay, thank you. Okay, and who's next in the audience?
Joe Gray. Oh.
Hi, Amy Friedman, 8 Martin Street. I'm mostly just here to listen, but wanted to let you know that I put some information that I gathered on the tables. The top sheet is just a list from the assessor's websites of the properties that Mystic Valley Regional Charter School owns. On the back of the first page are the 3 properties that they either just closed on, one I think might not yet be closed on, and the rest of the pictures are just photos of the properties listed on the front 2 pages. So I'm happy to be here and happy to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Okay, Joe, you're on.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Hello, can everybody hear me? Hello? Hello,
Sorry.
can everybody hear me?
Okay,
This is on 100.
so we can hear him.
Can everybody hear me?
Not really, Joe. If you keep it short, I'll try to repeat everything you say.
Okay, my name is Joseph Gray. I live at 295 Rear Lebanon Street in Malden. I'm the Ward 6 School Committee member, and my only statement is that I support all the residents who have concerns about this and the negative impacts it will have on Maplewood Square. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Did everyone hear that? Okay, so he introduced himself and said he supports all the residents, anyone that is here, and will do everything he can to help. That is candidate Joe Gray. In the audience.
Paul Smith, 81 Columbia Street.
Hello.
Columbia Street, it's a small street. Also across the county. 48 years, I know all the streets get blocked. I really don't like people coming down the street fast, which we'll get, because everybody that goes to the school flies down Lebanon Street. Also, I'd like to know why none of us in Maplewood knew that these people went to court, got the okay to build a school. Why none of us were even able to go to court to give up cents. And I know it takes 20 to 25 minutes to get to Maplewood Square because of the school now. Put another school here, it's gonna take an hour to get to Maplewood Square because another 300 cars. Because nobody walks to the school. They all drive. Everybody gets dropped off. They'll be coming down Columbia Street. They'll be coming down Rockland Street. They'll be coming down Lebanon Street. And they'll be parking all over Malden Square, Maplewood Square, rather. And there's not going to be any parking for anybody. All these businesses are going to lose all their business. And we're going to be dead. We're dead to Maplewood Square. I've been living here for 54 years. And it's a great little square. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna do school voice next.
Donna Kelly.
Okay, so we're gonna try to listen for Donna Carey.
Hello. So I live on Cottage Street and I work at Melrose Wakefield Hospital. And when I come home from work, I get out, I work at 3 o'clock. When school's in session, I have to drive. If I want to get home in a reasonable time, I drive all the way around. I either come up Route 1 and come down Broadway, or I go up behind Trafton Park. And it's just so, I'm sorry. It's just been so aggravating to see everything in Maplewood Square get bought up by the school, the firehouse, the Maplewood Baptist, and now the businesses, Serena, and the Chinese food restaurant and everything. And it's just too much. So I know it's a done deal as far as the sale of the property goes, but the traffic is just out of control. And thank you.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Did you guys get to hear that at all? Okay, so at one point she broke down and she was talking about her coming from work and the traffic is atrocious and how the school has bought out the church, the fire station, and now Maplewood Square. She's really upset. Okay, so next to speak, over here, thank you.
I'm Linda McDonald from Garden Street in Maplewood Square, which I moved to 16 years ago because of Maplewood Square. My question is, why do we believe that all of these buildings are tax exempt? This laws in Massachusetts specifically have exemptions for charitable, educational, and temperate uses that apply to all other private schools and charitable uses like churches or private schools. And it doesn't apply to them. Under the law, you have to own and occupy the property for specific use. So if they're not using it as a school, they should not be tax exempt. Another thing, since all of their funding, according to the law, which I read, comes from local taxes, federal taxes, and state taxes, where are they coming up with $6.1 million to buy a giant piece of land, tear down businesses, and then redo them? The public schools in Malden can't do that. They have to file for an override. The law is discriminatory, and I think it's a loophole in the law for charter schools that put them in a better position than public schools and private schools, and it's wrong.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna get to everybody, so.
Sheila Rachels.
Sheila Rachels.
Hi, I agree with the previous speaker that came up, but so I live on Presley Street near the charter school over here on Charles. And the parking is atrocious. It's all these out-of-towners that go to these charter schools. So how is this working in an effort to revitalize Malden if you're literally tearing down businesses that community uses? Serena restaurant, that was always a favorite spot for my family, and it just seems counterintuitive on the city's agenda with the charter schools.
Okay, thank you. That was Sheila Rachels. She lives on the west side of Malden, off Charles Street, and she's concerned about the traffic and the businesses that are going to be displaced. So thank you. Next in the audience, Councilor Kamel is running around. Okay, there you go.
I'm a World War II veteran, and I'm one. I'm part of Europe, my four brothers fought in the Pacific War. I'm 96 years old. I don't see the reason for all this here. I want to live the rest of my life in my home. I think this is a big place. This is a breaking point right here. That whole property is not there. Eventually, when they're taking that one building, eventually, on the top of the shopping center, which you take off all houses on London Street on one side, down Columbia Street, knock those all out, and then take the ones down here, and you have a shopping center. That was way back. Now, all of a sudden, this is the breaking point. They keep in there at the Nation Bank, Benjamin. Now, how's this going to affect us on the alley of Orchard Street, Columbia Street, all these places that it's going to be a fish to get around. And I don't get to see where the hell we're going to move it all. We won't be able to get anything to this traffic.
Thank you. Okay, next on Zoom, we have Keith Bernard, who is also a candidate for Ward 7 School Committee. Go ahead, Keith.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Keith Bernard. I am at 58 Almont Street, Unit 18, and yeah, I am a candidate for Ward 7 School Committee. I have gone to Serena's restaurant for many years now, and I've been going to the businesses that are in Maplewood Square for all of my 20 years of being here. And it's a vibrant area, and that we're going to be losing these businesses. And I hope the city is doing what it can to go and try to rehome them, but this is really amazingly upsetting that the charter school may be doing everything to the letter of the law, but it's certainly going and losing things in the spirit. And we really need to go in and hold them to an account. I really want them to be held to account, because the businesses that we're losing the taxes that they're paying. They've been good community members. Really try to go in and give back to our communities, and we're losing that piece of Malden. And I don't see what the charter school, and like someone else had gone and said, this is not any kind of screed against school choice. If someone feels that that's where their kid needs to go and get their best education, then that is their choice that they have to make as their family. But we really need to go and hold them to account here because of the impacts that they're doing, not just to our income, not just to the traffic that's in the area, but it's actually affecting our culture of Malden as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. So no one could hear them. Okay, so what he actually said is he believes we should hold Mystic Valley accountable for the businesses that we're losing, the taxes that we're losing, and he was very distraught. So, okay, next in the audience.
Hello, my name is Mary LaVoy at 100 Olivet Extension. And I am just amazed that the city is, I don't know what they're doing. I want to know if this is a done deal. It looks like they're in the real estate business, not in education, okay? What are they gonna do with these buildings? You know, we know about the traffic, we know about the safety issue. Well, my daughter's already reported the traffic down on Laurel Street twice to the police department because she can't get by. There's no control. Now, everyone knows this has been going on. I want to know what the city is doing. It's not a historical building, so we can't say something. Or can we? Malden does that? No, they don't. I just want to know if this is a done deal because this property's been purchased. And what the hell are they going to do with this property? They're going to build a brand new school there? What's on the plan? What? I don't know. Do they go before a board? I mean, do they have anyone watching over them? I mean, Malden pays for each student that goes here with money. I think it's last time I read it was a little more than what they pay for Malden students to go to the public school. So this is a multi-million-dollar business. You know, it's beyond the traffic. It's beyond the safety. We own our property. You know, we work for it. We own it. I am not going to let them go to hell. I'm sorry. This is the way I am. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm like this. The best thing to do is you want to stop it. You want to bring attention to it and do it verbally, but do it visibly. Because then they'll know. You know, education is very important. One of my daughters is a school teacher in Somerville. Very important. Okay? So I look at this, they don't know this property. Come on. What the heck are they doing with it? I mean, I've heard stories where, oh, one of the houses will be for the teachers, one's going to be for this. They're going to build a school down where on Maplewood Square. I mean, do we have, they're going to be tearing down the whole area. You know, I want to go to Fanny. I want to go to the Cap. Okay, this is where I go. I want to be able to park my car, run in, get my muffins or anything in front of me, and I want to enjoy myself in the city, okay, that I choose to buy my house in, because it was a beautiful, awesome grid of being in the major city. I live up on the Highland part, what they call Maplewood Highland, so I'm up on the hill, okay? I have to avoid getting in my car and going down to Laurel Street and Taylor Street when school's going in and when they're coming out. I've tried it, I can't get by. They literally double park, they block people's driveways, no one does anything. And I think the city, sorry, I'm originally from Somerville, I do the city of Malden, need to step up and say, what the hell's going on here? Do we have a charter school? Or do we have a real estate business here? Look at this. You see what they bought? They're going down to Malden. They want to buy property, do it on Commercial Street. All that land that Malden owns on Commercial Street. Okay? Where you can drive, the traffic is good. Let them buy some of that land and build another school and if they want to. They can do that. And they know they can. Okay? Because the board of directors know. And I say no. And so why are they just buying houses? Why are they buying these little businesses? They buy, that's Maplewood Square. That's the reason. That's it. I'm just not satisfied. I'd rather go out there, stand there, and say, look, this is what they're doing to us. You know, I remember weeks ago, the school was there, the Trafton Park. My great-granddaughter was on the round. I love that park. She comes here from Billerica. She loves that park. As soon as the school come out, every little child on that piece of amusement had to get off because all the students got on there. And I told my friends, you don't have to suggest I do, Nana. They said we have to move. I would have won. I try to keep my cool, okay? I can just ramble on.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. And just to remind, And just as a reminder, all the questions that are being asked, we're recording them and we will try to find answers for you. We're not here, to go back and forth. It just, my goal is to make sure everyone's heard. So we're gonna do Zoom now. We're going back and forth, so. Oh, no, good, wonderful. Okay, we have another one in the audience, Counselor? You have another person? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my name's Anne Marie Pula, and I own a house at 29 Orchard Street. And I come home every day. I work in Boston. I leave work at 6 to 2:30. I come home every day, and the people are there. I have to drive up and go the back way to come home because the parents are parked out there on Salem Street. And the crossing guards are stopping you, so you cannot even drive. And my thing is, if they close Franny's, where are all the people from the 621 building gonna go to get their dinner? Okay, some of these elderly people go out even in the rain to go to Franny's to get their mail, okay? Have some consideration, okay? My mother passed away, okay? My mother used to go to get her dinner once in a while when she was older and went to the restaurant that was across the street from where she lived. Have some consideration for these elderly people, all right? Never mind all the people, all the charter schools, all right? All the kids. There's plenty of other cities to put these charter schools. Do all the other cities have as many charter schools as us? Seriously, do all the other cities have as many charter schools as Malden? Okay? When my son was younger and I signed my son up to go to the charter school, they called my son when he was in the 5th grade, okay? No, it's not acceptable. If you're not gonna take kids that are living in Malden, okay, then no, we don't need no more charter schools. Go to another city and build out in the other cities. Every city should have the same amount of charter schools. Go find somewhere else and leave the city alone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay.
What are they gonna do with these houses right here? What are they gonna do with these houses?
Again, the questions we're taking back, and that's why we asked your name so we can get back to
Well,
you.
the lady said that she's the real estate and sold these houses, and if we had questions, she would answer them.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're gonna keep going.
Louise London-Choate.
Okay, Louise London-Choate. Go ahead, Louise.
Okay, thanks. My husband and I are against this purchase. Why does Mystic Valley require all this property? What are they going to do with all this property? We've been against this purchase for a myriad of reasons. Many of these reasons have already been mentioned, including the loss of Panda Castle, our beloved and go-to neighborhood Chinese restaurant for many years. Panda Castle managed to make it through the pandemic, and the thanks they get is to be uprooted. And another thought has come to me. If at some point in the future, Mystic Valley decides to leave Maplewood for greener pastures, then Maplewood Square will resemble a factory town where the factory is closed, kind of like a ghost town. We have a vibrant community. What are they going to do with all this property? This is unacceptable. This purchase is unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so she's adamantly opposed to this, both her and her husband. Specifically, she mentioned Panda Castle, and her questions were, what are they going to do? So that was Louise Choate. Now we have someone in the audience.
Hi, my name is John Mahoney. My wife and I bought a home here in 1994 on the Vassar Avenue. We bought it here because the Maplewood Square was charming. We liked everything about it. We've seen with this charter school changes that are not beneficial to the city or to the neighborhood. And I'd like to ask, why there isn't a representative from the charter school here to answer questions, number one. Number two, why are they taking all this property in Malden? If I understand it right, there's 6 communities that send their children in here into Malden to attend this charter school. Why aren't they buying property in Everett? Why aren't they buying property in Wakefield? Why aren't they buying property in these other communities? Why is it only Malden?
Thank you. Okay, we can take another one from the audience.
Hi, my name is Paula Valente. I live with my husband Dan. We live at 5 Lake Circle, up in the Highlands. Before we lived in Malden for over 30 years. We purchased a house on Bainbridge Street back in '90, I think it was. And then we came up to the Highlands back in 2000. Our kids all went to get 3 kids. They all went to the public schools. They're doing very well, but I don't want to bore you with everything. I don't want to reiterate everything that everybody's saying, but I do agree with it. Another problem, another issue, if this goes through, is public schools have 180 school days a year, whereas the charter school has 200 school days a year. One less vacation. They don't take February vacation. That's more traffic. I do go by the Laurel Street. It's just people blocking driveways. It's a mess. It's a mess over there. And I'd love to see Maplewood Square be revitalized. They have restaurant Serena stay there, and Panda Castle. It's just, we love living in Malden, and I just, hopefully, good points at the charter school, go to some other city and purchase. And we have, like, all these people, there's less, I feel less kids in Malden going to the charter school than other cities. That's what I've heard. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. That's okay. I'll say it now. Anybody? Okay, here it comes. Okay.
Hi. I got a big voice anyway, don't know if you need this thing. My name's Galvin Murphy. I live 24 Church Street, my wife Barbara. We're very concerned about this, just like everybody else in the room. I like the charter school. I don't like what they're doing to our neighborhood. I don't mind the charter school in my neighborhood. They're in my backyard. I don't want them in my driveway, my front yard, my side yard. Now they want to move to my living room. I want to stop that. If you look at the sheet of paper that we were given by the young lady, 4 Laurel Street. Does anybody remember that? What was that? Oh yeah, that was our firehouse. Given to the charter school, sold to the charter school. Well, they did it. It's done. It's history. But we were promised, if anybody in this room was there that night, we were promised they'd build a new firehouse from when they got to the school. That's gone. I don't know where that money went. Okay, I run a business right down the street here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. The school comes in, I'm not going to be able to get my vehicle done enough. Have people come in and do the work they need to do, hold the meetings they need to hold, because we have a hard enough time. We have this school, we have the Lincoln School, we have MC, we have the church across the street, we have the church down the street. We have things going on all the time around here to tie this up. What do these parents do when they come here with their cars? They park in our driveways, they park at the end of our driveways, they block our streets, and they keep their vehicles running. Right? We worry about all this emissions, and here we are doing that right here in Maplewood Square. It's the last square in the city that's really a fully functioning square the way it's supposed to be from the old days when you walked. And I miss this. I want to thank Chairperson for having us here tonight, all the other elected officials in the room for being here and putting this on, allowing us to come speak. We put our grievance on, and I'm not really sure where you can go with this, but I'm going to ask, I'm going to plead, I'm going to beg with our city councilors and our leaders to stop this. I don't know what you're doing with the Malden Hospital, but it's been about 15 to 20 years that you've held them up through whatever legal recourse that you've done. Let's do it again. Let's tie it up. Let's not let this happen. Whatever you did, do it again. You know? Again. So they can't block driveways. Well, yeah. You know, the problem is when it comes to educational institutions, they have a lot of leeway when it comes to the variances they need to build and all the stuff they need to do. Sitting next to me is a fellow that owns a business in Maplewood Square. I'd say it's the best restaurant in the city, but other people can be over the head. He's out of business in the next 2 years. There's another business owner sitting over there. They're not taking her building right now, but they're gonna kill her. She's not gonna be in business. She's gone. There's no doubt about it. She's a neighbor of mine, too. She lives down the street. There's just no consideration for what, who, or anything else about us. They don't care. And again, I know people that run the school and they attend, are members of a service club that I'm a member of in the city, and I think they're nice people, but nobody do anything. And that's just, not an appropriate way of doing things, business. And again, they're quasi-government agencies. They get all their money from the government, but they don't have to report the way other agencies have to report. And that's an issue. You know, the city can do things about this, and if they can pull it off or not, they can put the legal resources they need to come up with to stop this. I don't know. I'm sure, you know, the city solicitor may be overwhelmed by this. There's going to be a lot of work. They have to hire outside help for it, but, you know, if something needs to be done, I think it, you know, collectively in this room, we all have concerns about what's going to happen. And I think you do have, that's why you let us come in and have our grievances with you tonight. And we appreciate you, Debbie, letting us do this. Thank you. We want to buy a house back.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Somebody else, okay? Counselor, there we go.
My name is Joy Pearson. I live on Sylvan Street. I do not come down to see all the cars parked and so on. But I think it's unconscionable what the charter school is doing and what they have done in the past. I know that New York State has is suing a former president because he is allowing or has allowed people to have their taxes lowered by living in certain places, and I think this is very much the same. Regarding the cars parked, I think that when I had Zipcar, and I got Zipcar down by the meat market, there was for a while. There was always, and they would put Zipcars there that didn't have any Zipcar on it. So the parking person would always ticket them. I would encourage these cars to be ticketed by that man because he's always around. He's always around. He even goes there and relaxes, just stand, you know, park his car there. But anyway, I think it is wrong. I think they are underhanded. I think there is no transparency, as people have said. And I have written this with all due respect. Schools are here to educate, not to dislocate, disregard, displace, and inconvenience neighborhood businesses, business districts, and neighborhood residents. The purposes of business districts and of schools are different. Neighborhood businesses bring tax revenue to the city and enjoyment to its residents and visitors. Schools bring no tax revenue. Although current students of a nearby charter elementary school do frequent Sunnyhurst, Napoli, and other businesses, that does not make the school a business entity in the square. As I say, schools are here to educate, but they also set an example for their students of how to act and how to be responsible, or they should. Students see how their schools conduct itself. Schools do have competition in sports. However, they are not looked on highly for besting and outdoing loved businesses of their livelihood and of forcing residents out of their homes. These actions are not good examples of civic or civil responsibility. And for sure, they are not friendly. The school wants to put itself, a quasi-public exclusive school, in the middle of a business district. It doesn't belong here. The exclusiveness, I'm just going to give you an example. When my daughter was young, and she went to an after school at the Maplewood School, and we found out that they had a Girl Scouts. We approached them and they said, no, she cannot come to Girl Scouts here. Now that's against, and she has to belong, she has to go to the charter school in order to go to the Girl Scouts. Now that's against Girl Scout rules or Brown Scouts or whatever it was at that time. Maplewood Square has been a presence in Malden since the late 1800s. It has not only been beloved in the past, but is currently loved. The square exists for the use of the Maplewood community residents and visitors, not for the use of a regional school with students from 5 or more cities and towns. A change of this magnitude should not be allowed. It's too disruptive. The Mystic Valley Regional Charter School plan proposes to take a lot of revenue away from the city of Malden. It proposes to eliminate 2 good sit-down restaurants, a barber shop, a pizza chicken store, owners and staff of these 4 businesses, and the homes of a half dozen apartment dwellers. It threatens nearby business homes. I want to read this anyway. It threatens nearby business home establishments that may not be considered suitable as neighbors to a school. Any action here would tie up traffic with an overload of parents' cars, would increase the neighborhood noise and pollution volume, and would largely disrupt what has long been a residential community business district. It will introduce the presence of an uncommunity friendly, exclusive tenant. Many of the students of the regional charter school are not even from the Maplewood community, nor have ties to Malden. Seems clear that the regional charter school does not belong in the square. Perhaps there is another option that could be, this is just my thinking, far out probably. Perhaps there is another option that could be considered here and would be more advantageous to the neighborhood residents and to the more than 100-year established business district called by some the heart of the community. If Mystic Valley needs more room, it can find room on Eastern Avenue, or it can build another story on the existing Maplewood School building. The original Maplewood School had more stories than this current one does, or it can demolish and build on the existing firehouse that it took away from it years ago. A high school debating team would be hard pressed to come up with sufficient pros to even have a debate on this topic. The reason is because cons outweigh the pros. There are too many cons here. Mystic Valley Regional Charter School is not a good nor wanted potential tenant for the Maplewood Square business district. I adamantly oppose such a project proposal takeover. Thank
Thank you all for your patience. I know this is kind of horrible. Okay, so we have a Tatiane De Oliveira. Hold on. Go ahead, Tatiane, you're on. Tiana, are you on?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. My name is Tatiane De Oliveira. I actually live in the property that was purchased. I live on 22 Lebanon Street. And I just want to add the impact that this purchase will have, and it is having already on our lives. But not only on the community around Maplewood, but all the 4 families that lives at the building will suffer too. Plus, besides Panda Castle and Serene, there is another 3 businesses that will suffer with the purchase. And there will be an impact for everyone. And actually for the business that it's around the building too will suffer the impact from that purchase. And I think it's like a domino effect, and it's very unfortunate for everyone. But extra, unfortunately for us that lives here and have business at this property. So is that what I want to say? Thank you.
Thank you. So Tiana, you're one of the residents that is being, the homes that are being purchased. Is that what you said?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you for coming on tonight. Did you
Oh,
open
you're
it up?
welcome.
So she's the home that's being purchased. So she is not in favor of this. Okay, Councilor Canal, where are you?
Hello, my name is Jade. I live on Bowman Street. In regards to the people that are being displaced, what are they doing to help them? Like, I know from just trying to help family members look for apartments. Apartments these days are insanely cost. Like the cost per month are insane. Where are these people? Like, what assistance are we doing for these people that are displaced right now? Do they have to leave the city entirely? Like, what help are we helping these people? Like that part makes me very upset. So I agree with everything else everyone's saying. It's ridiculous, but like for those, I mean, you said 6 families are being displaced. Like that's ridiculous. So
Thank you, Jade. And again, all the questions we will get back, and we will get answers for all of you. So thank you for your questions.
Thanks. Ellen Adams, I live on Tyler Street. Agree with everything that's been said, the traffic, the neighborhood businesses, but also what's next? Who in the city of Malden knew about this and allowed it, or at least allowed it without this happening first? Somebody knew. This is a healthy question. What's next? Are they eligible to purchase more stuff? Who's going to oversee their plan? Can they build a 4-story whatever there, or a parking garage? Like what's going to happen next, I guess is what I'm worried about. Can they just do what they want? And, you know, when Forestdale and Salewood have to share a librarian, because there's not enough money for a librarian in the public school, and this school is allowed to just purchase $5 million or whatever. It's just, it doesn't look good. The optics are really bad. I'd love to hear from someone from the Mystic Valley Charter School, you know. And we have another one of these with someone in the hot seat, you know. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, now.
Hi, my name is Brian DeLacy, and just a couple things to say. I'll skip over a lot of the stuff that I had because people have said it to a great extent. I did just want to anecdotally offer some factual information. People were curious about what percentage of the student body is Malden students. It's around 40, 41, low 40%. It's capped more or less at that. It's not going up anytime soon. In terms of the number of districts that they pull from, the core group is around 6, but I believe it's probably much closer to 10 or so that they actually pull students from. But the impact of the MVRCS campus expansion across Lebanon Street is really potentially devastating to both residents as well as businesses. We've seen it here, it's abundantly clear. But the impacts also go far beyond just the abutting residents and the businesses. This is really a Malden-wide issue. That, for people who know or who have looked at a map of that area, sort of from 30,000 feet, know that Lebanon Street is the main thoroughfare north-south, and Salem Street is the main thoroughfare east-west. People from Ward 8 going to the Salem One School or the BB School are just bottlenecked as well as going north-south. So it's really a major traffic and transportation issue. At this point, we don't know too much, actually, about what the charter school plans are. They've been upfront about that in sort of an odd and curious way. We don't really know if they're going to displace the current residents of the units that are currently in existence. We know from that list of properties that people have seen that they already have a number of residential properties, which I would agree ought to be taxed at a revenue that would benefit the city. But currently we know because of who lives there and so forth and so on. But we can get into that later.
I do stand here, by the way, so we need to know more. And I stand here today with a 3-page letter that I received today from the Secretary of State's Office, Supervisor of Public Records, addressing me as to why the charter school hasn't provided public records that I requested back in November. Okay, so if anybody thinks that there's going to be a quick and speedy response, it's not likely. So at the bottom of this is a short and curt, direct, give him the records that are responsive, basically. But people ought to know this is about my 8th attempt to get these records. So the point is, in terms of good neighbors, good duties. So we haven't given up, right? So in terms of what's next, it's a quick follow-on to what was just asked. A bunch of residents, people in this room here, have signed a petition, various petitions, under the rubric of the city charter. The city charter is the thing that some people have, some people haven't. The good news is that enough people have that this citizen participation meeting that has been proposed to the city, which the city clerk has certified sufficient signatures for, is allowed to proceed. And that both the mayor and the city council have certain obligations to notify residents about this. And that will be at least one of the public-facing opportunities for people in this room to follow up. And so that'll, and some people have been passing around, if you want to sign up with it, people can be notified. But I think one of the first things that ought to happen, and I'm putting this on the table today for the incumbent public officials who are here, is that the city planner and the city planning function and the planning board has a really important role to play today. People talk about ordinances for things like parking and so forth. The city council, as I understand it, is in summer recess. I don't understand that all of the city staff is in summer recess. One of the things that the city planner does is they routinely look at large-scale investments and developments. For instance, a recent one is on South Broadway Park. And they evaluate those in the context of what the impact and the benefit will be for the citizens. They also evaluate those in terms of what's allowed under the law. I've asked, and respectfully asked here, that our city planner be tasked with presenting, developing a staff report, which is something they routinely do for all planning board meetings, in terms of telling all of us and sharing it publicly what is allowed in this area, what can be developed in this area, and what are the requirements for public notice. Not a big deal. It happens all the time with the planning board. I think the public deserves that same access to information. So I will close on just one note, which is not meant to be contentious, but it is meant to be forthright and direct. People ought to know that a member of Malden's planning board is also on the board of trustees of the charter school. Did people know that? Right. So it's true. It's a fact. It's a small board for the charter school board of trustees. It's a very effective planning board for the city, in my opinion. But a person shouldn't serve as clerk for one and essentially secretary of the other, which is exactly and precisely what is happening today. So at the time that this purchase was being planned in executive sessions for the charter school, that person was also involved in Malden business and planning development activities. So with all due respect, no disrespect for the person who is abundantly active in the community, I would respectfully request that he resign from the Malden Planning Board and allow us to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. DeLacy. Do we have, okay, one moment.
My name is George Lasky. I've lived in Malden for over 70 years. I live in the Maplewood Island area. My main concern is the buses in Maplewood Square. The ones that go to St. Joe's park in the parking lot. Where were these buses going to park? On Lebanon Street and Salem Street? Another thing was the Town Line Motel just got sold. And I don't know why the charter school didn't look at that piece of property It's got, probably, 6, 7 acres of land. It's in 2 cities. It's also on 2 major highways, Route 1 and Route 99. I mean, Maplewood Square is not the place to put this charter school right now. It's too tight in the area, and also you also have 3 liquor licenses in Maplewood Square. And there used to be years ago an ordinance that you couldn't have a school with, a liquor license within 500 feet. What are these businesses trying to do? Lose their business? I think brands in Patrick are really going to be in trouble. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. My name is Jeff Taylor. Just wanted to mention how the federal government recently has also taken up the same issue of charter schools profiting. As a charter school, in order to apply for the school license, they need to be a nonprofit, but then they do sweeps contracts, what they call it, where they sweep all of the money that they collect as a nonprofit over to the private sector to a private management company. Now, in the form of a bill in the federal government, they made it so that you can't receive federal funds if you have a privately managed charter school. So I believe that means that maybe this charter school will not be receiving federal funds, so maybe they're looking to make more money now elsewhere. I do believe that maybe also the state could, or the city could also make a bill, similar bill, where you can now receive state or city funds if you're going to have a private management company run your school for profit. So I'm not sure the answers to these questions, but I would love to get the answers to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, you go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Masalam, candidate for School Committee Ward 7. I have 2 perspectives I'd like to offer. First and foremost, I live here in Malden over on Essex Street. I have 2 children who attend the Linden School, and Salem Street is a major thoroughfare through our city. We've got Salemwood, we've got Mystic Valley, we've got Maplewood. We have a ton of community centers on this street, and we have elderly housing. At traffic time, it is nearly impossible to get through these streets. And as a parent who's driving down the street past schools, looking out for children, you've got cars parked on both sides. So I really question the thought process with not only the traffic, but the safety of their students and our children who are crossing that street and playing in this area. I'm afraid they're going to get hit. I'm extremely careful, and I've had a few close calls. I am so cautious about children. I don't know what the thought process is. And you continue it down, and then you've got Broadway and the highway. It's a disaster. So with all of that in mind, now that I've shared my concerns as a Malden resident and a parent, part of what I do is I am a nonprofit administrator. I've done consulting work for several nonprofits throughout the New England area. The same state law that applies to educational nonprofits is the same state law that applies to the types of nonprofits that I've done. In other cities, they have a yearly questionnaire where they ask about all the real estate that you hold within the city and what you're using it for. If it is not for specifically 100% nonprofit purposes that fall within your tax exempt mission, then it is subject to city tax. And if any percentage of a building is used for something other than those purposes, you can collect that percentage of that tax. So I'd like to know what Malden is doing to enforce this, because I'm hearing concerns from other residents and possible evidence that that this is not taking place and that there are buildings being used not in compliance with non-taxable purposes. So that needs to be addressed. And also, I've worked on projects where we purchased property with the intent to build a facility, whether it's a community center or an actual church or something other. In every single one that has acted in good faith with strong strategic planning, we have always gone to the city first with our plans. A purchase and sell has always been contingent upon approval and relationship with the city and the neighbors of the property that we've been working with. In one instance, it took us 2 years in order to close on a property because it was important and we were dedicated to working with the city to address every single issue and making sure that all of the neighbors knew exactly what our plans were and to see what we could do to accommodate their concerns and still be able to serve the purposes that we intended. Looking at all of this, I don't see plans. I don't see engagement with the neighbors. Now, I'd love to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm an optimistic person. I love people. I love to work with people. But when I see it reach this stage, and I see all of these concerns, and I see, and I'm hearing people who live here saying, with an elderly community across the street, that they're concerned they won't receive medical care. An ambulance can't get through these streets. When I hear all of this, I'm only left with two options: complete incompetence or complete lack of goodwill.
Thank you, Nicole.
Hi, I'm Emily Goldhammer. I live just on the street at 35 Wheat Street Extension. We moved here about 4.5 years ago, and one of the biggest draws for us was the strong sense of community that Malden portrays. Our biggest issue with buying our house was not our issue, but like our concern was that there's a pest control company behind us, run like, but however, in the 4.5 years that we've lived here, and I was excited. I was like, there's a school here, there's a charter school there, it's going to be there's a great square. In the 4.5 years that we've lived here, that charter school has caused more issues and problems in our Maplewood community than anyone else I can see in it happening. And our pest control company has become a better neighbor to us than the charter school. What is the purpose of a school in the community? To create good citizens, to create good people, to improve the quality of life for our city, to inspire our residents to be good people. And the only things that are coming out of this school over and over and over as a silent observer for the past 4.5 years has been rumors of racism, of taking out disabled students after they get their funding, of buying up properties and destroying people's livelihoods, of them kicking out my neighbors. I want people to live in our neighborhood and thrive here. I want to go to barbecues at the pest control place because they're raising money for Bread of Life. That's the kind of businesses that we need to have here in Malden. And right now we have a charter school functioning as a business, profiting off of us and our hard work without giving back at all. And the lack of transparency, finding out that we've got conflicts of interest, is all falling back on now you, the people who are elected to stand up for us. We don't elect you to sit back and take money from a charter school. We moved here and love this community instantly. And I refuse to be quiet and allow racism and bullshit to come out of these people
and infect our communities, and infect our nearby towns, because those kids are going home with that shit. And then they come back to our community, they don't pay taxes, they pollute our city. They don't get tickets for God knows why. They're literally putting people's lives at risk, and no one is doing anything except us. Why are we the ones who have to stand here and yell about it? Why didn't the city delay them? They delayed a hospital, they can delay a charter school. And I feel like at this point, we need action to happen now. And I'm looking forward to the answers that come out of this that are detailed and specific about how this is going to stop and what the plan is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to add to that, you have many city councilors and school committee members here, and they are all listening, and we are recording it. And we hear the passion loud and clear, right? Okay, who's next? Mary? Is Mary next? Yep.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Hampton. I'm the owner and resident at 29 Beachview Terrace, where my brother and I grew up. Lifelong Maplewood girl, moved here when I was 18 months old, don't remember anywhere else. I am extremely upset, and I wish to vociferously object to what is in effect a private corporation using public funds to destroy the business district in Maplewood Square. I don't know what has to be done to stop it. If we maybe have to go to the state level and we have to get some sort of state level control of that organization. You know, it's supposed to be educating students, and it looks to me like what they're doing is they're using a loophole to take public money and use it for whatever they want to use it for. And that is obscene. And I think it needs to stop, and we need to figure out how to stop them. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie McDonald, 33 Pure Street, just around the corner here. My kids also in the schools nearby, and I just want to say amen to so many things that I've heard tonight. And I hear the personal stories about what Maplewood Square has meant to the people in this room, has meant to this community. And the only conclusion I can come to is that Mystic Valley holds those stories in a contempt that means that they didn't hold this public. The city had to, right? And so I just agree 100%. This is an all hands on deck situation that the city should do everything it can to figure out whatever leverage it has. And that's the point of planning and mitigation, is to figure out what problems is this going to cause and then work on a solution to that. And I don't see where the solution can come from, but that's what you need the leverage for. I realize charter schools have unique, they have special permission under Massachusetts law. So I don't know what the city can do, but I want to know the answer to that question as well. And if there's nothing that the city can do to stop this from moving forward, which I don't believe yet, but if that's the case, I think it's going to be critical to look at the financial impact and try to find a way to address that to the businesses, to the folks who live in the neighborhood, and their property values. You know, Boston is full of universities and schools that are not required to pay the taxation because they're nonprofits or schools, but they pay something else. They pay in lieu of taxation because they own so much real estate that Boston University pays called payment in lieu of taxation. They pay that to the city for the amount of work that the city has to do to maintain the infrastructure that their students use. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of different pieces that we have to explore, both immediately, as we said, immediate action. I totally support that, as well as if this does end up going through, what can the city do to force some addressing of the traffic issues and the other impacts on the businesses in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, keep going, audience.
Hi, my name is Debbie, and I live on Malden Street.
When my wife and I were looking for a place to live, we looked everywhere. We must have looked in 50 different places all around Massachusetts, and we picked Malden because of its diversity. And we were hoping that that meant that they were inclusive. And we picked Maplewood because we saw, oh, how cute, there's a square there. Oh, look, there's a school, there's a fire station, there's Grafton Park. You know, they weren't kidding. This is a great place to raise a family. And then the fire station shut down. You know, Maplewood at times has looked pretty bleak, but I had dreams of that being revitalized and businesses that could thrive there. And my kids, now that I have two, 7 and 10, being able to walk to school or go to Grafton Park and know that the school that's in our backyard that my kids can't go to, that they can reciprocate for our community using our parks. So I had real high hopes, and I heard about this on Facebook, okay? I was so surprised that that's how I had to find out about this. And I really want to know, what can we do? Are we losing time? What are those big milestones here that we'll be up against in the short-term future? And is there a history of this happened in the past and successfully motioning towards the citizens in the community? Is there something that we can learn? I have none of these answers. All of these are just questions that I'd like to see addressed when we get follow-up notes here. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Brian, you say that you have a letter from the Secretary of State. Can the Secretary of State get involved in this? And can they sue? Or can we have an organization here from this committee that forms that can sue the charter school? And another question, why are we finding out like on Facebook? Or why are we not finding out before this? Why hasn't the city council alerted us about this?
So I want to speak to that right there. So I found out on Facebook. Right? I found out just a few days before I asked for this meeting in the city council, right? Because I wasn't sure what we could do. And I understand it feels like, yeah, are we here to just be mad? Sometimes, yeah, we have to be here to be mad, to be heard, to take all of this as a fuel, to make sure that people who don't listen to the ones who are here, who are ready to listen to you, they will listen to you. Because now you will be there with our voices all together to make sure they listen to you. So I just wanted to be very clear. Did you want to ask some questions? So this gentleman wanted to go next.
Hi, I'm Stephen Adele. I have been a Malden resident for over 18 years and a Maplewood Highlands resident for about 2.5. Live over on Rudolph Street. I'm also a public servant. I've been a public librarian and a public school teacher. And yes, I am the shared librarian. So thanks for bringing that up. Yes, the public schools and the K-8, the 5 K-8 schools have 2 librarians. And actually one of those positions is currently vacant. So if you know anyone who's a public school librarian, there's an open position on the Malden website. Anyway, I'd just like to know, one, I mean, basically, it sounds like there's a lot of shenanigans by the Mystic Valley Charter School. So I'd like to know, I mean, if these things continue, what are the consequences the school can face? Because as far as I know, Mass General Law does allow the charter to be revoked if they do not show sound stewardship of their accounting, including, I would hope, open meetings laws and things like that, which really disturbs me that they have been stonewalling on what should be very public and transparent business dealings. But that between that and they have to apply to all, they have to apply successfully apply to all laws, all applicable laws. So what are going to be the consequences for the charter school if they are not following these laws and they are not following through with their assurances they said at the very beginning in that one letter?
Okay.
questions? Okay, we're clear for the audience. Anybody else? There you go.
Hi, I'm Tony again. I'd like to ask the city council, I understand they're in summer recess, but I would like to ask them, if they could hold a special hearing on this and to address this issue here, that about the charter school and buying of all these properties, and also to address the issue of this planning board member being on the board of the Mystic Valley Charter School and demand his resignation. I hope somebody from the council will draft a letter asking for that. And again, I hope that they can hold a meeting for it.
Okay, thank you. Hold on, I have one.
Hi, I'm Michelle Marcinowski. I live in Garden Street Court. I just have something that somebody brought up that I was actually concerned. I don't know what John was named, but he said that the charter school had promised that we would get a fire station. We don't have a fire station. That's a safety issue. You know, I'm alone, I'm single. It's great to have school, but I have two things I'm concerned about: safety. It's a policeman gonna come. It's a fire. I have a fire, there's no one gonna come. Right now, we don't have a fire station. They took away the fire station. And they don't even, I mean, when we built the police station, which I brought up, why they couldn't add a fire station to that. I have crickets on that one. That's something we need to be discussing. The charter school promised something to the city in exchange for a school or whatever. We should be holding them responsible for that. Regardless of what. I just feel we need a fire station. Part of the city. We need one for a while. It seems to go by the wayside too.
Amy Friedman, 8 Margaret Street. I came here to listen. You know, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I've heard you, and I thank you all for coming. Also, what I've seen here is that we all need more opportunities to do this, to have our voices heard. I have my own experiences with the charter school, which aren't good. If your child doesn't get in before 6th grade, that's it. They can't get in after that. And when I talked to them about my kindergartner starting at the charter school, who is a severely disabled child, I got crickets, as someone else has said. I asked how many spaces were available for disabled children, wouldn't give me any information about that. I drive my children from Warney, my disabled child from Warney to the BB school, so I'm on Lebanon Street lot. There's like 4 crosswalks there, right at the charter school. You stop over and over and over again. And we've been late, you know, many days because of that. Of a note also is not only are they not providing records pursuant to records requests that are made, when their records requests that they made to DESE were responded to, they filed a lawsuit. They just put that on their website. They sued because they didn't get their records requests answered. Yet they are ones that are not responding to legitimate records requests. So, thank you.
I'm sorry, just one thing I want to bring up with the person on the planning board and the board of trustees. As far as I know, the ethics laws, ethics and conflict of interest rules, that person should be recusing themselves. As far as I know, because I had to take that test, I had to go through the training and all this, and that sounds like a textbook case where they need to recuse themselves. I don't know if just the public disclosure is sufficient, but I would think that there at least
I think it would be if specific matters that have to do with the charter school, which hasn't happened yet, and it's questionable whether it has to happen or not, or whether they can certainly in the process, which is what we're sort of afraid of or want to look at. So there's other things to talk to the state, making sure our voices are all heard together when they go to DESE for the charter renewals and things like that. So I don't want to take too much time. Who else? Somebody over here. Anybody else want to speak? Oh, here we go.
Hi, my name is Brendan Roby, 58 West so Maplewood High. And this is a couple things. I wonder, we went to all these vision meetings a few years ago, and this is prior to the renovation of the downtown. And I recall there being a plan where, okay, when downtown is done, then we're going to do the square. And Maplewood there must have been some, this whole visioning process about what Maplewood was supposed to be. But without any kind of a plan, it allowed this kind of thing to happen. And it seems like in a more reasonable environment, that the charter school would be working with the people in the city and with the people in the residents, so that if you're taking away retail space, they have to provide new retail space to replace it. They shouldn't just be able to take these things out. I mean, they need to work with the community, but they don't. There seems to be this adversarial, attitude for the community. That they are actually in and using. My other thing that I thought of is that one of the details of the articles that they're not going to be breaking ground until after the charter renewal process. So it seems to me that the leverage point we have is on that charter renewal process, because if they can't renew their charter, they haven't got a business. But they're vulnerable, I would say, to that. And that's a state level certification. So anyway, I mean, this to me just is incredible that we can have a vibrant square with good businesses, people go. That's an actual place we want to go, and not just a parking lot, for the charter school. And I also agree too that this is what they're teaching their students. Their example to their students is you do whatever you can do, ignore any opposition, be a real estate developer. So anyway, that's, I don't know, it does seem like it's part of a larger condition in the society. And it seems like we really need to have people working together instead of at each other's throats. So thank you.
Thank you. I actually have one right over here, Councilor Canal. Councilor Canal. Councilor.
Okay, there you go. Just give it the phone. He did. He said he could hear you, but not see. Thank you, Councilor DeMaria, Councilor Canal. My name is Adam Malden. I'm from the Malden School Committee. I was excited, I think, to come here and see this crowd. I was excited to come here and listen. I want to especially appreciate what Dave said about sometimes you just needed a space to be mad together. Because I'm a realist and I'm very skeptical of what it is that we can do, right? Because we are used to this particular organization out planning us, right? They think about things 10 steps ahead. And to a lot of the points that are made here tonight, they know what they're doing and they're doing it right? It might be legal loopholes, but they know that it's legal. And that's the problem, is that these laws are in place and they protect these things from happening. And this is an outlier. And I think that's something that's really hard for a lot of us in the public school world to sort of recognize and deal with, is that this is not how charter schools operate across the state of Massachusetts. This is an outlier. This is an outlier that's not even really supported and respected by other charter schools in Massachusetts. And I think that's important for us to think about and to realize, is that there really is no partnership here. Like I'm thinking about, even hearing about, we think it's a fantastic idea, payments in lieu of taxes for Mystic Valley, but that's not something that charter schools do in other communities, because in other communities, they're partners to their host communities. So there's a lot of things that I think are broken. And I appreciate, I think, listening to a lot of the perspectives here tonight. We on the school committee, I think, have been really trying to push this and and focus on the idea of like, this is a, you know, while also being empathetic to the fact that there are kids, like this is kids that we're talking about in classrooms who deserve a right to learn. But this is a threat in many ways to the stability of our community in the future, and to all the people who have said, yeah, you know, they service 7 communities, but all of their properties are here. That's true, and that's what I think we need to focus on. And what I'm most worried about from my vantage point is in relation to something that Brian had said earlier about, well, they're capped. That's where they are right now, but that's where they are right now. And I think they buy these properties with the expectation that that cap is going to rise and that they'll be able to take more students in. And don't forget, every 100 kids that they take in from the city of Malden means $1.5 million leave our public schools and go right into their bank account. We spend that $1.5 million on our kids. They spend a portion of it on their kids and they bank the rest for property acquisition. So, you know, you really want to think about the long term. And I'm excited that this is happening. I'm excited that we're seeing more community involvement in the process. I'm skeptical that we'll get the good neighbor reception from them that we deserve. But I'm looking forward to seeing what tangible, actionable things that we could do as a community to at least engage them in this process and see where we can go from here. So thank you for hosting this, Councilor Maria, and to citizen engagement.
My name is George Lasky, and I'd just like to answer this woman's question up front here. The reason why they didn't build a fire station where the police station was, I'm on a board here in Malden, and the land is contaminated, and you cannot have a fireman sleeping in a fire station with the certificate that you have there. The city is eventually going to get sued with the police station there, I believe, if anyone's sleeping overnight. You can't do that. That's the reason why the fire station was not built there. The city,
Take this outside. Let's focus on, okay, we can follow up. So, all right. I think this, gentleman here had
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan O'Malley. I'm the Ward 4 City Councilor. The reason why I'm here tonight is because I think we all know this is a citywide issue. The traffic in our community is horrible. One of the reasons being is that we are a host, the host community for the charter school, bringing people from all around the region to here, causing horrible traffic. I want to remind us all how we got here. We got here because it was literally a planned hostile takeover of our city by the charter school movement. As you've heard, this charter school is different than other charter schools that operate within the rules. They push the boundaries time and time again. The organizers of this got a mayor elected so that we could sell public school buildings and parks and other buildings to the charter school in order to create another school district that is sucking funds out of our public schools. And that can no longer happen. We already have what we have now, and we should not allow them to continue to suck resources out of our system. I'm a proud product of Malden Public Schools. I went to the 7th grade here at Elmwood. I went to the home school prior to that and graduated from Malden Public Schools. Malden Public Schools are worth defending. We have former members of the school committee here. We have city councilors here. This is a huge issue. We've had a mayor, we've had city councilors, our former city clerk, all involved in the charter school movement here, on the boards of the charter school. This is not a unique incident. This was designed to create something like this, and we need to take a stand as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Danielle Nechny. I live at 15 Harding Ave. I wanted to sort of push back against the idea that we can't do anything or, you know, it's already done deal. I think we have to do something because we heard some people speak who said that their living in the building is going to be bought and they don't have a place to live after that. And I just want to really ask everybody on the city council, everybody who's got power to make decisions, to think of all the tools we have at our disposal, whether it be, I know that there is a moratorium on eviction, so anything tools we have to protect those residents so that they don't lose their homes in the city. I don't know what in this kind of transaction, if they need to get like permits and stuff, and there's tools like that that the city could use to make sure that they don't just push this through with so much opposition from the community. They should be good neighbors to people in this neighborhood. And if they're not going to, then we should make them. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, Councilor was again. First of all, I wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight, especially Councilor Maria for taking the lead in the citizens engagement. Barbara, Councilor Murphy, and Councilor Lanigan for putting this meeting together. I mean, that was one action the city council took immediately when we had heard about this, was to organize this and really engage the community. So, I mean, this is about the biggest meeting I remember way back when, working on the bike trail. We had maybe about as many people when we started working on the bike trail at the old Maplewood School. And one of the things that I know Councilor Camilla and I were very adamant about was making sure that this meeting happened as close to Maplewood Square as we could. And this is the public building that we can do that. So I really appreciate everybody coming out. One of the things I you know, with Danielle's comment and Councilor Camilla's comment, you know, our Constitution starts with we the people. So the laws are what we the people push for. And so that's one of the things. It's coming together tonight, expressing what our concerns are about the future of Maplewood Square is a great start. And then next, what we have to do next is important. You heard the brief statement from the charter school. Just by chance, you know, my background is an attorney. And that was a very legalistic letter that they said. Basically, they're going to say, we're going to follow the law and take every step. That's basically what that said. And I guarantee you that we're going to press as city councilors, and we're going to press the mayor, we're going to press our city solicitor, we're going to press our state reps, that we're going to press back on every legal advantage that we can to make sure you are heard. We, the people, are going to be heard about the future of Maplewood Square. And Mr. Welby's comment about planning, I mean, the other thing, as in the comment about Mr. Weldon as well. And, you know, the charter school has a board, they strategize what their future is. You know, one of the things I've been researching is about what other communities do. And a lot of other communities, they have neighborhood associations. They're actually part of the planning process. You look at throughout Boston, Jamaica Plain, Charlestown. These are intentionally formed organizations of representatives from the community who help set standards for planning in the community. And this is something we're not doing in Malden. This is something that I'm going to propose with my fellow councilors, that we have a neighborhood association that's, you know, created and backed in our zoning law. So that's one of the things we're going to do. It's a start. And I think the other things, we are going to, like I say, press every advantage. And I think the other thing is that your voice, I mean, make sure that you're talking to your reps, and I appreciate Rep. Pelletrino being here. So we're going to press everything that we can back. I'm also, you know, one of the things you'll find with me, I also want to be forthright. I, you know, put my legal hat on and looked at our laws and ordinances. And, you know, people made a comment about the hospital site. Zoning laws are funny. And at the hospital site, the type of proposals were there, we pressed every advantage we had as a city to really restrict the development there. You know, fire laws, other type of things. That's why, and there was a lot of public meetings over in Ward 3. That's why nothing's happened right over there, because the insistence of councilors and mayors make sure the community is involved. One of the challenges under our state and federal law is that educational institutions like the charter school and churches can pretty much go wherever they want, unless, you know, with some limits. So they could literally decide to put the charter school next to your home. And even though a school is not a home, under state and law, we can't restrict that. And that's built into our zoning law. So that's, I just want to be forthright. This is a bit of a different battle than folks have faced on the hospital side. So it's going to take extra effort from all of you to get involved. And we have to figure out strategies. I think one of the things I also emphasize is that there's both kind of these the things we need to do now to press every advantage to make sure that this either doesn't happen or happens in a way that's gonna, has as minimal impact on the community as we can, but also have our own strategy in the long run so that we are prepared every time this is gonna happen. And we, as a community, have our own vision for Maplewood Square and make sure Maplewood Square serves the residents, and that is for us, not just for the charter school. That's what we need to do. We need to make sure Maplewood Square remains for the residents. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I know we're running really long on time. I want to respect, that you've given us all a lot of your time tonight. For anybody who came in late, I'm Amanda Linehan. I'm the Ward 3 City Councilor. I did just want to quickly piggyback on what Councilor Winslow said. I've heard, the Malden Hospital brought up a few times tonight, and I have gotten a few calls since the charter school deal went public. I found out on Facebook like everyone else, and I'm getting a lot of calls from my ward asking, a few years ago, the charter school indicated that they have a desire to actually acquire the hospital site or build on that property. And I want to reassure folks, the mayor and I have been working very closely with the hospital in the last 2 years, even amid COVID. I have a community-driven plan that I think that the community is going to be really happy with, that we should be unveiling really soon. But just to be extra safe, I did reach out to them in regards to this project. And I do have a statement that their CEO and leadership team would like me to read. So from the executive team of Melrose Wakefield Hospital, Melrose Wakefield, the owners of Malden Hospital, is not currently and will not be engaged with any educational user for the site of the Malden Hospital, and that includes Mystic Valley Charter School. So I personally reaffirmed with their senior leadership team that they remain committed to a project at the hospital site that achieves a greater amount of open space, a smaller footprint for any buildings or structures that do come to the parcel, and less traffic. And then the final thing I wanted to say, again, after just thanking everyone again for giving us so much of your time, is I want to acknowledge and thank our state rep, Steve Altrino, who was here with us tonight. He's actually filed legislation in the State House that won't affect this purchase, unfortunately, but in the future would hold charter schools to the same standards as public schools when it comes to having to publicly bid for property acquisition and major purchases. So he may have left. So again, unfortunately won't make a difference in this case, but I think will get us on the right track towards, letting us not find out these things on Facebook next time, basically. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan.
And I just want to say one more thing. So there are a number of things we will be doing. And the one thing I want to ask everybody here to do is that as what you're feeling right now and what this means to you, I would ask all of you over the next month, go talk to 3, 4, 5 people who might not be familiar with this, who might need to hear from you what this means and what is going on here. And that's just going to make us, it's going to raise the chances that we will have a successful outcome that protects Maplewood Square.
Did they think of down where the Lincoln School used to be? I mean, because the Lincoln School is all just a field now. Where the Lincoln School was, and it's a park now, and it's just all field. I couldn't say it built down there. There used to be a school down there at one time when I first got here back in '94.
So that's city-owned land, and that's a part of the community that's over there. I would oppose the city. Sure, there was a school there that turned that into a park. For the Mystic Valley to build a school there would require the city to sell that land, which I would not have it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm from 630 Salem Street. I have a question. This problem with the parking that's on Salem Street and the 4 crosswalks. Are they breaking any laws? Can we start issuing some parking tickets? Can we tell them one or two crossing walls? What does the police department have to say about it? Can ordinary citizens write out tickets? It may come down to that, but we need to do something and not be pushovers and lay down and let the charter school walk all over us. Thank you.
Thank you, no, thank you, thank you. So,
I am Paul Smith again. On that question of the four crosswalks, I happen to be the president of the union of the crossing guards. Over the years, I've fought for those to be taken out because they're illegal. They don't have grants, and we all have grants. All the clients have grants. We're a crosswalk. It's supposed to be grants. Furthermore, I know the guy that is the crossing guard. He fights with the people, not the go across here, but the people that are coming from the other cities, just walk across the street. They don't care. So that's what happens with them. That's it.
Thank you. How would you want to Zoom? Anybody else? Okay. Please, this is your time. This meeting is for you. It's for us to listen, you to speak. And, you know, we have the school till 8:30, so we've gone 2 solid hours. Do we have anybody up here? No? Annie?
Hi, my name is Annie Lopezano, and my husband's been told me. We are a founding family of the Untitled Chapter. It was sold a bill of goods that it was all about academics, forget about athletics, if you want that, go somewhere else. I've always fought with them because the kids did not come first. When they started to purchase homes, apartment buildings, I mean, I have called the state, I have sent emails to them, and I have news for all of you. The Department of Ed doesn't have what it takes to stand up to this school. They held up having an expansion of students because they would not comply with term limits on the board. Finally, they switched over, they got someone else in there. As soon as they got what they wanted, they tossed this guy out. Randy Brown was on that board for 14 years. He has scruples and he has integrity. The next day, he quit the board because of what they're doing. So that should tell you something. They have not stopped in getting apartment buildings and homes. There's a home with a pool on it, 84 Laurel Street. These kids were denied laptops or any Zoom training over the pandemic. Instead of giving them computers, they taped classes and had these kids watch tapes. They have not built the facilities they were supposed to build on to the Maplewood Square. They did not. They were supposed to give the kids in the high school a gym. They did not. So they're talking about this future for the children. The little kids in Maplewood Square, the next time you're sitting there and it's 90 degrees outside, imagine how hot it is in the classrooms for Maplewood. They have not put the money, which they could. The answer was, we don't have the electrical infrastructure. Well, they had enough money to buy a nice house with a pool. They've had enough money for an apartment building. Why are we subsidizing teachers' housing? We have teachers, we have colleges all over Boston that we can draw from for teachers. They go to all these Christian colleges and suck these kids into coming to Boston to a charter school. And then they're gone. I've had my kids go to school 8 o'clock in the morning. By 10:30, the teacher was gone because they weren't going to continue on for the next year. They didn't wait until the end of the year. No. Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, hello, Neil. I know you're watching. I just think my concern is for the kids.
I also have a concern for Maplewood Square. But why is this money being spent on homes and not in the streets? That's my question.
Thank you. There's four folks in school, lightning in the rain. I don't, any folks have more to say, let's have something to say, but I also want to take safety into consideration here. We're having quite, looks like quite a weather event out there.
How about last call? We all set? This is the first of many more. Everybody all set? I want to thank all those. Oh, we do have someone. Yep. What will happen to Louise Court? Louise Court is a small little street between those two buildings, and there's a home, a two-family home that in the right there. They have already, no, they shared it, well, they shared that long driveway to get in there. Okay, what's gonna happen with Louise Court?
It's a good question, and like, as of yet, we haven't yet to see actual plans from the school.
No, listen, I listened to everyone tonight, and I see where it's going. I want to know is, someone, what is the city going to do about this? For so long, and going way back, okay, about the deal with the fire station and all that, I know why there, I was involved, okay? The people that are on the board of directors also hold the secret. We all know that, okay? So things need to change, because we own property here. You own property, you own property. I own property here. We work for our property. And what the hell is gonna happen to us? We have to put up with this every time we go down Maplewood Square.
There have been some victims. The founder of that
We
school,
need to protect where we live.
yeah, the founder of that school was always the treasurer of the city. He is not the treasurer of the city today. So that is one thing I can say. I'm proud of.
Long overdue, it's already been discussed, they already knew, they're having a meeting. I know, whatever.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for coming. Hold on one second.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody before you go, if you have not signed the sign-in sheet, you know, one of the things we will do is follow up with everybody and we'll debrief and then come up with some ideas on how people can participate in moving forward. So we got to take your ideas and formulate some plans and ask you to help.
Before everybody leaves, do I have a motion to adjourn from my committee? I need a motion made by Councilor Murphy, seconded by Councilor Linehan. All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is, the meeting is adjourned.